Does Dave Ramsey not want you to own a home? This is... So I was reading this thing, and I don't know exactly if Dave Ramsey said this or not, but a guy had posted something. He said, Dave Ramsey says, if your income is $40,000 a year, you should not have a mortgage more than $667, a mortgage payment more than $667 a month, which is 20% debt to income. And you know how much a home that is? That's a $100,000 home. So if you're making $80,000 a year, you shouldn't have more than a $200,000 home. Good luck with that there. I mean, the median income is right about $80,000 right now. You know, median family income. So the median homeowner, according to Dave Ramsey, shouldn't have a home unless he can pay cash for it or keep his mortgage payment at $1,300 a month or something like that. Dude, it's just absurd. It's absurd. Home ownership is what makes American communities stable. Larry Summers even said, no one ever took a rent-a-car to a car wash. And that's Larry Summers, big lib from Harvard. 100. If you rent, you don't have as much loyalty to your neighborhood as someone who owns. This is just a fact. This is why making home ownership in America expand was such a critical thing for communities. This is why making Section 8 and all this government crap is a horrible thing, because no one has any ownership stake and they just don't care. Expanding home ownership is the number one way for middle-class families to increase their financial well-being. There's just no other way around that. And so to discount home ownership and say you should rent instead until you get enough money for a down payment where you can keep your monthly payment to 20% debt to income is crazy. And the reason for that is, A, you don't know if you're ever going to be able to save enough money because the housing prices continue to go up. Now, occasionally, Mike, I think we're in a little bit of a lull right now where things are going down, 100%. But that's not historically. Historically, the trajectory of housing prices to go up, with the rate of inflation, if not higher. And so if you might be in a little bit low right now, that does not mean housing prices are going to crash a la 2008. And the only reason they did in 2008 was because of stupid CRA rules, Computing Reinvestment Act, friggin' just ninja loan. And the whole thing was stupid. And then, of course, massive building. So increase the supply, people take, the whole thing was just stupid. But anyway, it'll never happen again. Because now we don't have enough supply and we got more and more demand because the insane amount of immigration that we've had. On top of that, the generation behind me is a bigger generation than my generation. All right, so everyone's like, the baby boomers are the biggest generation. That's true, but the generation behind me, which I can't, I'm Gen X, so there's that millennials. They're now starting to reach their homeowners' earnings capacity and home ownership capability is right, about 35 or so, 30 to 35. So they're starting to enter the market for more demand for homes, plus the massive amount of immigration, plus the lack of building houses. So, I mean, the housing prices and the trajectory of that is inherently going to go up for sure. Again, any given community, and who knows, but as a nation as a whole, absolutely. And so it's not like if you wait longer, you'll be more affordable for a home. And this whole thing with if you have a debt to income of 40%, let's just say that way, that's horrible. Leveraging on an appreciating asset is not a bad strategy. It's not. Now, should you leverage on stocks? Probably not. But you can make a case that stocks go up more than they go down. And as long as you have enough cash flow, if you get a margin call essentially to pay off the leverage that you have on that, you'd probably be okay. I won't do it because I'm too risk averse for that. But leveraging, and you can't and you don't live in stocks, it's just a fact. You literally don't live in the stock market. It doesn't provide you any kind of thing like a house does in terms of roof over your head. So having a house eliminates your rent payment. That's just a fact. So you're trading in your rent payment for a mortgage payment. You're building equity on an appreciating value with the bank's money. I mean, literally a mortgage is other people's money explicitly, which is why you get massive increases in equy relative to your deposit. I mean, just think about it. If you have a $100,000 house and you only have $20,000, oh dear. If you have a $100,000 house, you only have $20,000 of equity in there as your down payment or whatever, and the house appreciates 10%. So now the house is up to $110,000. your equity has gone from 20,000 to 30,000. That's a 50% equity increase on your $20,000 investment, essentially, if that makes sense. And your house is going to do that for sure. Now, it might not do it any given year. It might do it over the course of a couple years. But that's a leverage that, A, it provides, you don't have to pay a rent, provides you a roof over your head, shelter, which everybody needs. You see what I'm saying? Now, you got to pay property tax. You don't have to pay. I get all that. And you got to pay. I 100% get all that. But housing as a whole appreciates. Stocks appreciate too, but stocks don't give you a place you can live. Stocks are just there for the pure speculation that I think the earnings and dividends will continue to pay and the stock buybacks. And as such, I'll borrow so I can buy more shares. Look, you can get bank on that. I'm not here to argue that, but that's not the same as leveraging, i.e. taking a mortgage to buy a house. It's crazy to me. And if we're going to sit there and say we want people to be more nomadic, more transitory, less ownership stake, less neighborhoods being built, less laying freaking foundations in your community, yeah, let's encourage people to rent. That's great. If we have more of a foundational society, community ownership, net worth increasing because of the equities expansion on the back of other people's money, you want to encourage people to buy. And if that means they got to take a debt to income ratio of 35 to 40% as opposed to, 20% DTI is incredibly low. It's kind of like, I think Dave Ramsey, he got so killed in mortgages and real estate that he's inherently against it to the negative. Almost like me with my covered call strategy. I get people all the time that I got killed in covered call strategy, so I'm 100% against it. I don't care, but I'm just 100% so yeah, I wouldn't do it. But I get it. People say, no, you don't. 100% I get it. So, and like people in the stock market in the Great Depression, like they got burned, so they're never going to invest in stocks again. And that's just sad. And I get where Dave Ramsey's coming from. He goes, look, I was highly leveraged and it killed me. I don't know the whole story behind Dave Ramsey. I think, though, he got into not principal residence, primary occupancy, but I think he got into rental real estate and things like that, flipping. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about primary residence. Yeah, if you know differently, I'd love to hear your thoughts in terms of Dave Ramsey, but this is crazy, man. We got to encourage home ownership, and we want to encourage people laying stakes in the ground and building communities, building equity, and stabilizing. Being a nomad, while it sounds nice on paper, I'm a capitalist nomad, isn't that some guy on YouTube or something like that? Dude, you don't want to be a nomad. We want you to be laying stakes at the ground, being true to your community, knowing neighbors, and that's how America works, man. And we work not by being transitory. We work by being permanent residents of a community. All right, God bless. Love your thoughts.